Hello! From this moment and further, we will start to use data in components, and we will learn how parent and child components are connected in Angular, and how we can pass some data from parent to child component and vice versa. So for this purpose, we will make one example with book library. So first, we will create book component. Open terminal, create new, and write ng generate component book and press enter. It will take some time. Okay. Let's open this folder with book component, and here in book ts file we have class book, and here we will store data for our book. Every book needs to have name and author. For example, that will be our properties in class. Both are of type string, and let's write that code. First, let's write property for name, public name string. This public means that we want that this property be visible outside of our component. This is TypeScript feature, and name property is of type string. We have some error here, and error tell us that this name doesn't have any initial value. We will set here for default value book 1, and let's do same for author. Author 1. Okay. And now we will learn how we can use these properties inside component template and display it. In Angular, there is something that we call text or string interpolation, and syntax for that is next. We have two curly brackets, and inside we can write property name, which value we want to display. In our case, it will be name. Okay. We want also to display author. And that's it. Let's see results in our browser for this. To do that, we need to add our book component in app component as child. Okay, first open app.ts file, and we need to import here book component. Then we need to add here in app.html our book element, app book, and that's it. We need also to run our application, new terminal, ng serve, and open our browser. And we can see here results. We have here our book name and author displayed, so that means that text interpolation works okay. Text interpolation is some kind of data binding in Angular because our code is connected with our template, and everything that we changed in our code will be reflected in template. Let's take a look again in template. Here in book HTML, we have name property, and also in TS file we have name property, and they are connected with this binding, with these curly braces. And that is text interpolation, but let's continue with making our library. In library we need more book. So how we can add more? we can add here more books. We will add 4 and save, and let's see result in browser. Nice, we have 5 books now. But do you see maybe some problem? All books have the same name and author. Because we hard coded here in our book component name and author. In other words, we fixed these values and we need somehow to set this data for each book separately. So how we can do this? In Angular, there is a way to pass data to component from parent component here. That means that app component can set name and author data for each book. We can see this on example. For this purpose in Angular, we have something that we called inputs. And in component, we can specify the data that we will accept from outside by declaring inputs. Let's see this syntax on example. We will assign input function to this name, and this input is from Angular core, and we will do same for our author here. And with this, we are telling Angular that our name and author will be set from parent component from outside. And how we can do that? Let's see here in app.html file. Let's first prepare data for our books in TS file. app.ts here. And we need books array. And for each book, we will have object with name and author. We need to set some values here. We will set book 1. And here we will set author 1. And do similar for other books. We need 5 books, and this will be 2, 3, 4, 5, save, and that's it. Let's go in template, and here to set name and author input parameters in book component, we will use square brackets and set this parameter name here. And here we will set name from first element of our books array. That is books 0 element and name. Save. Because this is first book, we will use first element from array, and similar we will use for author. Books 0 author. Save. On the same way we will set other books. Copy this and paste it here. We need only to change index for each book. That's it. Save. Finally, we want to see results in browser. Open browser. And here we can see book 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but in some strange format here. We have also this input signal, and why this is happening, go back in template here. Our component has string values as inputs for name and author, but here inside component book we have these inputs to receive these values, and this input function returns some signal type which is not simple string. And because that, we cannot simply here in template book HTML, we cannot simply interpolate our variable as a simple string. We need instead to add these parentheses here and here also, because we are working with signals. What are signals we will learn later, but for now we need to remember that if we want to display value from signal here in template, we need to use these parentheses also. Let's test again in our browser. Now everything worked perfect. We successfully displayed our books here, and now each book has own name and author. That is that basically for this video. Subscribe, like, and see you in the next one.